Hello again, and welcome to my talk. Surprisingly, it's already Wednesday. As the spring progressed in our yard, numerous plants and shrubs began to emerge, and I began the process of identification. I realized that we had many spireas, and they all began to show signs of growth except for one. The one was dominated by an aggressive rosebush, which had put out many suckers and wrapped itself around the spirea. I decided to dig up the apparently dead shrub and add it to the compost. As I walked across the yard looking at the sad brown roots, I saw one small green leaf growing at the base of one of the branches. I took the plant and carefully separated the root supporting the leaf from the rest and placed it in a pot of highly nutritious earth. Now, after about 3 weeks, there are more tiny leaves growing. It's still an open question as to whether it will grow back to be the huge shrub it once was, but it does have a chance. Earlier this week, just over 100 people from our diocese joined in a webinar with Alan Roxburgh, a well-known speaker and thinker about the future of the Church in the West. He had some interesting things to say, and as with many others in his field, he believes that COVID-19 has highlighted and intensified issues which have been present for many years. One of the things he mentioned was the vulnerability of the Church. In a sense, we're like my poor spirea, a huge rose bush called secular humanism has emerged and grown alongside us, so that now what was once big and lush has become greatly reduced. The question Roxburgh proposed was, how do we learn to speak from a position of vulnerability and still be recognized as having a valuable contribution to make? When we stop and think about speaking from a place of vulnerability and humility, we can say that such a position can be effective. The primary example is Jesus on the cross. We have the incarnate God taking the punishment and derision of those he has created, yet he goes on loving them. Not only that, but provides healing, wholeness, peace and forgiveness. In our changing world, the Church has many things to say about how we continue to be as human beings. But we also have to listen to others, not with the hope of necessarily changing them to our way, but to learn from them as they learn from us. As we're all made in the image of God, we have the possibility of showing something of Him in the world. When I was still teaching high school, one day I was raging in the staff room about some of the students in the class I had just taught. I said, why do they always underachieve? The harder I push them, the worse they get. A colleague pulled me aside and said, David, you always seem to jump to the worst conclusion. You either expect too much or too little. The most important thing you need to learn is to be kinder. That particular person would have not described herself as a Christian, but she took the time to teach me something about my faith, kindness being part of the fruit of the Spirit. I doubt she even knew what she'd done, but her words made a difference to me. What I'm saying is that individually and corporately, we have things to learn as well as to teach. There is a fragility about us at present, similar to that of my spirea. But if we allow the Spirit of God to nurture us, there is nothing to fear. Thank you for listening again today. I trust that you're doing well. Don't forget there is Litany tonight at 6, and you can find that through the diocesan website. So, God bless and stay safe.